Welcome to episode 1 of this Hoku tutorial series. My name is Owen Molesky. I work in Paris for the CNRS doing multispectral imaging and textual recovery. I use Hoku for all of my image processing. I've been using it basically daily for over 2 years now. In this series of videos, I'm going to take you through a simple workflow to get you familiar with the basic and most important functionality of the software. By the end of the series, you'll be able to process multispectral images completely on your own, even if you have no prior experience with Hoku or image processing. To give some background about the software, it was written by a man named Keith Knox specifically for cultural heritage. So when you have multispectral images of a manuscript or some other cultural heritage object, you can use Hoku to process and edit those images to recover the writing or drawing or whatever is on the object that you imaged. When you think of image processing and image editing, you probably think of software like Photoshop. Hoku is different in that it is a node-based processing software. So to briefly show you what that means, you have these modules which represent edits you can make to your images. You connect them together with these lines and nodes, and you turn them into a job which you can execute, and that makes all of those edits to your images. It's more akin to writing and executing lines of code than it is to making interactive edits and touch-ups like you would in a software like Photoshop. There are two other things I want to mention before we get into the user interface. The first is that, also unlike Photoshop, Hoku is completely free to download and use. I'll leave a link in the description where you can download Hoku. I highly recommend pulling it up on your own device so you can follow along with the videos. The other thing I'd like to mention is that I'm working in Hoku version 3.2. As of the time of recording, this is the latest version. You can check the release notes in the top left under the Hoku tab. If you're using a newer version, it might be worth looking here to see if anything important has changed. With all that being said, let's get into the actual user interface. If you have Hoku pulled up on your device, you're seeing something much different than what I have here. And that's because there are a variety of aesthetic changes you can make to the Hoku interface. If you right-click in the open space up here in the top section, you get algorithm level, module size, and appearance. Appearance is just light or dark mode. Module size is the size of these little rectangles, these modules. You can make them thinner or thicker. And then algorithm level refers to which modules are actually visible to you. On advanced, you have all of the modules. On basic, you have only the most basic ones. On intermediate, you have the basic and intermediate ones. And then in advanced, you also have this programmer option. You don't have to worry about that. I'll keep my level on advanced just because it's easier for me to see all the modules all the time. For at least the first couple episodes in this series, you'll probably only be needing the modules in the basic level, but if one of the modules we use is not there, I will make sure to point that out. The last aesthetic change you can make is to the color of the modules up here. If you right-click on a module, you get 4 colors you can choose from. This is a good way to organize or group your modules so you can find them more easily, or if you want to make them all your favorite color, do whatever you want to, it's purely aesthetic. Go ahead and make everything look how you want it to. Processing can be very addicting, so you'll thank yourself later on when you've been staring at the interface for hours. Now let's start talking about the 3 main sections to the interface and how they interact. So this top section, which we've been looking at already, is called the cupboard. This is where all of your modules are located. Down here, this big empty space at the bottom is called your desktop. This is where you will drag modules from your cupboard to create the jobs that you will use to process your images. This interaction between the cupboard and the desktop is the main behavior of Hoku. It's how you're going to do basically all of your image processing. All you're doing is dragging the modules to the desktop to create jobs and then executing them. This section in the middle is called the shelf. This is where you can save jobs so you can come back to them and use them later on. The last part of the interface is in the top left, this menu bar, which we've already looked at a little bit. In the Hoku tab, you of course have the release notes and some other basic information about the software, but you also have tutorial. This is a tutorial just like the one you're watching right now, but in text form. It was written by the creator of the software, so you have tons of technical and detailed information in here. If you ever want to learn more about something or try something on your own, this is a great resource for you. It goes over everything in the software. In this series, I'm only going to go over what I consider the most important for getting you started and up and running, but this tutorial contains everything about the software. So like I said, for learning on your own and trying stuff, this is a great resource. Next to the Hoku tab, we have images. When you have images open, this is where you can navigate between them or open and close them. Windows is where all of your windows or ROIs will be saved. We won't be using this right now, but it's good to know that this is where all of your windows or ROIs will be saved. We'll be coming back to this a lot later on. Plots is just like the images tab. If you have any plots open, this is where you can find them. And then lastly, we have the desktops tab. So like I mentioned before, this main area down here is called your desktop. If you have some modules and jobs on your desktop and you go to create a new desktop, you can go between your desktops and it will have saved all of your work for you. This is a great way to stay organized, separate your projects, separate your work. I highly recommend using different desktops. I'm going to show you what happens when you don't stay organized using either the shelf or different desktops, and you can see how things could get very overwhelming and very confusing. So I'm going to go to the tutorial desktop, and this is what I'll be using for this series. We've now looked at the entire user interface, and in the next episode, we'll start creating our first jobs and doing triage on our images.